This video has kindly been sponsored by OneFootball. With a rating of 4.8 out of 5 from over 70,000 reviews on the App Store, OneFootball really is the biggest and best app for football news, scores and stats from hundreds of leagues worldwide. In terms of FPL, you can also follow each team in the Premier League and get live updates from all the goals and assists every game week. Download it for free using the link in the description box below. Warning, this video contains team selection and captain choices which some viewers may find offensive. Hey guys, and welcome back to FPL TV. With another midweek game week on the horizon, here's a quick team review and team selection video before Tuesday's deadline. Game week 23 ended up being another poor week for my side. I mentioned in the last video about my struggles with captaincy this season, and unfortunately that didn't improve over the weekend. The initial plan was to captain Kevin De Bruyne, and after his blank on Saturday against Palace, things were starting to look up, because I made the late choice not to captain the Belgian. Instead, I chose to go with Jamie Vardy, and at this point there were no surprises to see him miss that penalty, and take my run of captaincy blanks to 6 in a row now. Typical. It was a poor display from Leicester, who for the majority of this season have been exceptional value in all positions for us FPL managers. Notably though, in their last 2 games, which have resulted in back-to-back defeats, they have been without Wilfred Ndidi, clearly showing how important he is to the side. The Foxes do have some tricky games coming up between game weeks 25 and 28, and with them starting to look a bit tired, perhaps moving them on is something to consider, especially in defence with only 1 clean sheet in their last 8 games. However, things do improve again fixture-wise from game week 28 onwards, therefore after the winter break, and providing Ndidi returns soon, they could still prove to be very good options in the future. There were some small positives in game week 23, with my Liverpool treble up returning 20 points between them and Mo Salah scoring that last minute goal against United, which can only further his confidence heading into their double game week in 24. Jack Grealish also got his first returns in my side, with a fantastically well taken goal against Brighton, and at just 6.6 million he does seem like one of, if not the best option in this price range. Despite Villa's struggles in general, Grealish is simply so pivotal to the Villains that if they do score, he has a very good chance of being involved. So, for game week 23, my team scored an underwhelming 43, 1 point below the average. It sees my team tread water once again with a small red arrow down to 2.2 million. If you're watching this video and are ranked as low as me this season, then you've got 2 options. You can either quit, cut your losses and come back fresh for next season, which is probably what I'd do if I didn't have bills to pay, or you can stay positive and remember that in these remaining 15 game weeks there will be plenty of blank and double game weeks to prepare for, and in these blank and double weeks there's still lots of chances to make ground, especially if you still have your chips intact. Speaking of double game weeks, let's move on now to game week 24 and see how the squad currently lines up. Also, if you find the content here at FPL TV entertaining, then be sure to drop a like on the video and most importantly get subscribed. You can also hit the notification bell so you're always up to date on when a video on this channel goes live. On paper, the squad as things stand does look in fairly good shape heading into tomorrow's deadline, apart from maybe the defence, which still needs strengthening at some point soon. But with all my budget defenders having home fixtures this week, a transfer here may not be necessary for now. Initially, I brought in Mason Greenwood as a budget option player to simply leave on the bench. However, with Marcus Rashford now confirmed to be out for the next few weeks, perhaps Greenwood is now in for a chance of significantly more minutes. And with Burnley at home next, I think I'll play him in game week 24 and hope that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gives him a start in that one. On my bench will be West Ham's Martin despite having that double game week, and that's down to him unfortunately losing his place to Darren Randolph. Likely in third spot is Lord Lundstram as he faces a rampant Man City, and to be fair, his performances have dipped a bit of late. As mentioned, Leicester soon head into a run of trickier fixtures, where they face Chelsea, Wolves away and Man City in consecutive games. But with a decent fixture at home to West Ham in this upcoming game week, I'll be holding Schmeichel and Vardy for now and reassessing that from game week 25 onwards. For the captaincy in game week 24, there's 3 players worthy of consideration for me this week, with all my Liverpool assets having 2 fixtures instead of 1. If you're not sure why this is, it's because Liverpool and West Ham were set to play each other in Game Week 18, but had to have their fixture rescheduled due to the Reds playing in the Club World Cup. This fixture was then moved on to Game Week 24, giving us what we call a double game week for Liverpool and West Ham. A case can be made for captaining any of these three players, and that includes Alexander-Arnold, who has now returned FPL points in 6 consecutive game weeks. For me though, it'll likely be one of the big hitting midfielders, and with me trying to make some ground, perhaps the Egyptian King is the way to go over the more heavily owned Sadio Mane. This will be Mo Salah's first ever double game week as a Liverpool player in FPL, and with both Mo and Mane fairly rotation proof, this does seem like a good chance to activate the triple captainship as well, as I try to maximise as many points as I can from this double game week. So that's how my team could line up for Game Week 24. However, if you'd like to see the final team selection and then do the opposite, you can find it on the FPL TV Twitter page shortly before the Game Week deadline. As for transfers this week, there's a few players on the watch list, and with me in desperate need of some differentials, Son Heung-min, who recently returned from suspension, could be a good option for me. Son faces Norwich at home in Game Week 24, who will be without their centre-back Ben Godfrey, who picked up a red card in their last game. Granted, Spurs aren't playing well at the moment, but with me being ranked at 2.2 million, perhaps it's time to throw caution to the wind and take a few gambles. And with Son at just 7% ownership, he's a huge differential compared to Kevin De Bruyne, who's essentially owned by everyone at this point. Of course, I don't like the idea of going without De Bruyne, but I may have to take some big risks. Another differential punt I've considered this week is dropping Tammy Abraham for Watford's Troy Deeney. Watford's form has significantly improved under Nigel Pearson, and whilst Deeney's underlying stats are very similar to Abraham's, he's only 1.5% owned and faces Aston Villa next, a side who are really struggling defensively. A more conservative move this week would be to make a defensive change, and as mentioned in my previous video, Adam Webster of Brighton and United's Brandon Williams are still options I can afford to bring in. If you enjoyed this video, be sure as always to drop a like and most importantly get subscribed to FPL TV. I wish you all the very best for Game Week 24 and I'll catch you all very soon.